Huge breaking news from college basketball. Stadium is reporting that Coach K is going to retire after this upcoming season. Earlier on this offseason, Roy Williams announced his sudden retirement from North Carolina, and now Coach K reportedly is next. But again, he is going to coach one more season. The Duke Blue Devils ranked number 8 in Gary Parrish's top 25 and won this offseason after missing the tournament altogether with a 13-11 record last season. Coach K, an all-timer, maybe the best coach in college basketball history. You could put him right up there with John Wooden. 5-time NBA champion, 12 Final Four appearances, and 15 ACC tournament titles. He'll have one more year and ride off into the sunset, according to a report from Stadium. Let's bring in our very own Gary Parrish, who's been covering college basketball and Coach K for a long time. Gary, Coach K at Duke probably predates you. 1980, he arrived at Duke and became arguably the best coach in modern college basketball history. How surprising is this news today?
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't expect to be talking about this with you this afternoon, but there had been speculation in recent weeks that Kay was at least considering this. Certainly that rumor had been circulating, so this is not out of nowhere, even if it is a big breaking headline. And to your point, he is widely regarded, Mike Krzyzewski, as the greatest college basketball coach of all time. He doesn't have as many championships as John Wooden, but given what he's been able to do in a totally different era, you could certainly make the argument that nobody's ever done this as well as Coach K. And as he, has obviously gotten up there in age and dealt with some health issues, the clock was always ticking. But the game is changing in a variety of ways, and so I don't think it's a total coincidence that as a lot of things in college athletics are going a certain way, first Roy Williams announces that he is stepping away from the sport, and now Mike Krzyzewski is expected to announce later today that he will coach one more season and then retire.
And according to that report, Jon Scheyer, a Duke assistant, would be the leading candidate to replace Coach K. Now, I'm guessing that if you ask Coach K, that would be his guy. Do you think he's going to be able to, after all he's done, handpick his successor there at Duke?
Yes. At the very least, he'll have veto power on it. But given everything he's meant to that university, to that athletic department, to the sport in general, I think it's been widely assumed for a while that the next coach at Duke would be somebody Mike Krzyzewski wanted to be the next coach at Duke. And Jon Scheyer is obviously a legitimate candidate who seems likely to be that next guy. He's played for Mike Krzyzewski, won a national championship. He has been on staff for many years, has developed a reputation as a high-level recruiter, really bright young guy I've gotten to know fairly well over the years. And, there is no perfect replacement for Kay. And obviously, Jon Scheyer will be stepping into some massive shoes. But if you are, spanning the list of candidates and trying to find somebody who would be capable of taking over for Mike and keeping Duke operating at the highest level of the sport, then Jon Scheyer makes as much sense as anybody.
You mentioned Roy Williams stepping down, and now Coach K says he's going to be done reportedly after this upcoming season. And you referenced how college basketball has really changed recently and will continue to do so. Can you kind of run through how things have become so much different than they were even 5-10 years ago?
Well, it's obviously more difficult than ever to keep players in school. Once upon a time, Mike Krzyzewski could recruit a Shane Battier and know that you're going to have that player in school for a while, a Christian Laettner on down the line. Now, the way Duke has been recruiting five-star prospects one after another in recent years, the roster turnover year to year makes the job much more difficult. If you don't believe me, ask John Calipari, who has largely been doing the exact same thing. So you're starting from scratch nearly every year. That is difficult. When you combine that with the new transfer rules that are going to allow players to bounce from one school to another without having to sit out as long as it's the first time they've transferred. It makes it where you have to re-recruit your team every single year because somebody else is going to be recruiting your players straight off of your campus. And then name, image, and likeness reform is on its way, like literally now less than a month away in certain states in this country where people can be naive about it if they want, but money is going to dictate where prospects go to school. And I'm not pretending that Duke would be at a disadvantage when it comes to that. Duke would not. But still, the sport Mike Krzyzewski entered, a long time ago, it looks almost nothing like the sport that he is coaching in right now. And so when you throw all of those factors into a pot and stir it up, it is not surprising that some of the older coaches, first Roy, now Kay, have reached the point where they say, I'm not sure I want to keep doing it under these circumstances. Again, once upon a time, you recruit your team and you'd coach your team and then you'd have most of your team back. Now, you recruit your team and the second your season's over, you re-recruit that team and you're going to lose most of your players anyway. And it is just a constant 365-day-a-year job. And it has never been more challenging or more demanding than it is right now. And I can certainly understand why somebody, deep into his 70s would decide now's the time to maybe move on and let somebody else do this.
Especially after that disappointing season last season, 13-11, missed the postseason, but didn't want to go out on that note like Roy Williams did. Coach K reportedly going to come back for one more season before he steps down at Duke. He would then be 75 years old. You can hear Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander on the Eye on College Basketball podcast. Expect a new emergency episode coming up later on today.
Much more to come here on CBS Sports HQ with the breaking news that Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski has decided to retire after this upcoming season. This is a report from Stadium as of now. Matt Norlander.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.